The 2007 to 2008 B7 Audi RS4 was the first RS model Audi imported to the US, and ultimately it was the only RS car Audi imported with a normally aspirated engine and a manual transmission. Only approximately 2,000 copies were imported over those 2 years, meaning this high-revving aluminum fendered sports sedan is quite rare. Today I'm going to share with you my review of one of these fantastic Autobahn missiles, but not some pristine 50,000 mile time capsule. This car was recently scored at a dealer auction, and it actually has 141,000 miles on it. So the question is buying one of these rare German sports sedans with that many miles a wise idea? Well, let's find out. The current KBB fair market value for this car, after the adjustment for miles, is around $18,000. Now, $18,000 buys lots of nice cars. You can get a near-new Civic or Corolla for that much money. However, assuming most of you are enthusiasts that are watching this, there are a lot of performance cars in that price range as well. Cars like a Ford Mustang GT, a Camaro SS, the Subaru WRX, Volkswagen GTI, and the Scion FRS, just to name a few. So, is a rare 13-year-old high-strung German sports sedan a better idea than, say, a Mustang 5.0 GT or a Subaru WRX? I say yes, and today I'm going to tell you why. First, I'm going to do a walk around of this car to see what kind of condition it's in after 140,000 miles. I'll look at the exterior, the interior, and do a basic mechanical check. Then I'm going to take it out for a test drive to see how this 140,000 mile RS4 performs, which I'm actually very excited about. I've always wanted to drive one of these cars and have never had the chance until now. Finally, I'm going to give it my overall used car score to hopefully answer the question, is a 140,000 mile Audi RS4 a good idea? Okay, let's take a look at this RS4 and take a look at what it might need at 141,000 miles. First off, I noticed this front bumper. Looks like we've got a bracket here that's broken. Looks just cosmetic. They might have had a European plate on there. And it also looks like we're missing the plug for the tow hook on the front bumper. Definitely have some rock chips and whatnot on the front, as you would expect from a car of this age. Paint looks good. I'm going to feel along the edge here and see if I can feel any paintwork. It appears the front hood has been painted at one point. I can feel a rough edge on there, but I don't feel it on the fender. The fender looks good, so we might have had the hood painted at one time. The wheels have a few curb scrapes and some nicks where they've used the power tools, change tires. Again, paintwork looks good. No dents or damage for the most part. The back looks good. All the glass looks good. Lights look good. Looks like it's got Miltech Sport exhaust. I don't know if those are just tips or if it's a complete system. Take a look at that underneath in a little while. Tail lights look good. This side looks good. So overall on the body, you got a little ding on the top on the roof, couple dings on the roof. Pretty nice car for the mileage. Take a look inside. Door panel looks good. Seats look really good. A little bit of bolster wear here on the driver's seat, but not bad. Not torn through at all. Seats are in nice shape. Dash is good. Headliner looks good. Look at the back seat. Okay, back seat. All right, now we're looking at some stuff. Looks like we got a couple of parts over here that are in the seat. And I think we just found our front license plate. Looks like it got kind of crunched. And looks like the back of the seat there is coming loose. Looks like they tried to glue it, something like that. And then the armrest cover has come off. So all things that Doesn't look like too big of a deal to fix, but a few things. This car has the premium package, so that includes the heated seats in the rear, includes that sunshade, and it also includes the nav, satellite radio setup there. Okay, let's take a look at the trunk. It's actually in pretty good shape. A couple of stains on the floor, but nothing hidden back here. One of the common problems on these cars is the carbon fiber trim cracking. And this looks good, with the exception of right above the Quattro emblem. There's a crack going off to the right. The rest of it looks good. Okay, let's start it up and see what works and doesn't work here. Definitely sounds good. It sounds healthy. So the dash looks good. We don't have any warning lights. As you can see, 141,866 miles. So there's the nav system. It appears to be working well. AC, the automatic on right now, and it feels cold. Definitely have some wear here on the shifter. Let's see what's in the glove box. There's the Audi CD changer. And we've got what appear to be all the books. Yeah, looks like most everything's in here. Maintenance, owner's manual. Yep, all complete. Okay, let's take a look underneath the hood. See what we got going on under here. Definitely seems to run well. There it is, the heart of the beast. 420 horsepower of a direct injected V8. So the carbon fiber pieces look pretty worn. In fact, that one's loose. The bracket probably came off. This one's a little better, but it's still loose. You can see some seepage from the valve covers, but not too bad, not leaking too bad. Same over here. Just about what you would expect underneath the hood of a 140,000 mile car, no matter what car it is. Looks all pretty normal under here. So really the only downside to this particular car right now would be a little disappointing that the carbon fiber pieces are a little bit worn, and looks like the heat kind of got to them over time. I jacked the car up to take a look at the suspension to see what the shocks were, and it definitely has the original DRC system, but it has a set of H&R springs that appear to be a progressive rate. And then I took a look at the back. I wanted to see if the exhaust system was just mufflers or a full system, and it appears to be a full catback system from Miltech. Okay, here we go. Starting up and going for a drive. 2007 Audi RS4. Man, this thing sounds really good. That just sounds amazing. Yeah, it sounds, it has a sound that's, it's almost It's almost American muscle car like, not high-revving German V8. That's awesome. So, as I'm sure most of you know, 4.2 liters, direct injected V8, double overhead cams, variable valve timing. Pretty much a work of art when it comes to engines. 420 horsepower and 317 foot-pounds of torque. So you look at those specs and you think, well, man, you must have to really rev that engine to make power. I mean, certainly it's got an 8,000 RPM redline. Peak power is 7,800 RPM. So that suggests that this engine must be revved in order to make full use of the available power. But here I am at 3,000 RPM, and the thrust is amazing between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM. But the beauty is it just keeps pulling. It pulls and pulls and pulls all the way up to the higher RPMs. It's such a linear engine, one of the most linear engines I've driven. Audi says 90% of peak torque is available from 2,250 RPM to over 7,000 RPM, which is just an amazing feat, especially in a motor that seems over square in that it makes a lot more power than it does torque. The shifter is really nice. It's definitely not Miata-like, but as you know, a manual transmission in a larger car like this, it actually is pretty nice. It's very connected, very mechanical, a little tiny bit numb, but not too bad. The throws are nice, a little long, but overall, it works well and mates to the car just fine. Heel toe downshifts work pretty well. The placement of the pedals is nice. So this car is another one that just loves to be shifted up and down through the gears. Taking a back road with a car like this is just so much fun. Now the brakes in this car are, the specs would suggest it would be something you would see in a supercar, a Ferrari or McLaren. 8 piston calipers in the front, 14.4 inch rotors. On one hand, it's just an unbelievable feat to get that into a 4-door sedan. On the other hand, from a maintenance perspective, don't think this car is going to be an easy do-it-yourself brake job. While it can be done, it will be expensive. Let's see how it revs. That is so amazing. Yeah, what a joy. That motor is amazing. So the handling feels pretty nice. The turn-in is really crisp. It's very direct. It's got just about the right amount of weight to the feel of the steering. You feel what's going on down at the contact patch. It communicates well. Obviously, this is a heavy car, so you definitely feel that. You're moving around a lot of weight. This is a almost 4,000 pound car, and almost 60% of that weight is on the nose of the car. Okay, we're gonna get on the freeway now. Do a little on-ramp. That never gets old. That is an amazing scream coming from this wonderful, wonderful engine. So, by modern day standards, 420 horsepower, 317 foot-pounds of torque definitely doesn't stand for ultimate performance. The standard Mustang GT obviously makes more, as does a Camaro SS. You know, nowadays minivans are making close to 300 horsepower. But in 2007, this thing was just an amazing package. I've wanted one of these since they were new, and being in the car business as many years as I have, very, very rarely do you see one of these cross an auction block. So I was excited to get a hold of this car for a little bit and see what it feels like. And even at 141,000 miles, it's exciting to get a chance to drive one. So this is a big car, no question about it. Almost 4,000 pounds curb weight, and you feel that heft at all times. That gives it a nice solid feel on the freeway though. The ride is pretty good. Now this car has H&R springs added to it, but it still uses the DRC, the dynamic ride control shocks. And in this particular car, they don't appear to be functioning 100%. The ride quality is a little floaty. You get some pogo effect sometimes. So certainly some attention would need to be drawn at the suspension. And whether that is, replacement of the DRC system, repair it. There's lots of chatter on the internet about that and whether or not it's worth it, or to switch it all out for a more traditional coilover setup. Those are some things that you have to think about with a car like this of this age. So, is a 141,000 mile Audi RS4 a good idea? Well, it depends. It certainly is a lot of car for the money. This particular car has the premium package, which added a few features like heated rear seats, a power sunshade, the navigation system. The sticker price on that car was around $73,000. In 2007, that's a big price tag. So that all being said, the prices have come down on these cars, and depreciation in this case is definitely your friend. My prediction is they're probably not going to go a lot lower. I think you're going to find cars like this will eventually find a way to appreciate, and it might take some time, but the nature of this car with a normally aspirated high-revving V8, a manual transmission only, there's just not many like it. The M3 obviously comes to mind, the E90 series, as well as an E39 M5. Those are two cars that come closest to this in the personality that they convey and the driving experience. What this car has over those is a little bit more exclusivity and the all-wheel drive, the quattro all-wheel drive system. And then, knowing that only 2,000 copies were imported over a 2-year period makes the car exclusive. And while maintenance costs are high for a car of this price range, the rarity of it and the performance and the feel that it offers is something that collectors and enthusiasts would like to have. This car will go past a point of daily driver status and become a car that sits in a garage and is babied. So 140,000 miles is a lot. I think that the overall main structure of the car and the engine, the transmission, the drivetrain are all solid enough to be perfectly fine at that mileage. Yes, there's going to be some things. The DRC suspension for one of them. You know, there could be clutch issues. The brakes are not cheap to maintain. There's going to be some items that will definitely cost some money, but at the end, you're going to have a car that will probably not depreciate very much, if at all, going forward. Okay, now it's time for my overall used car score. First off, the fun category. Powertrain. This engine is a work of art. From the impressive thrust to the super linear power band, I'm amazed it's now 13 years old. Then there's the sound. It puts a smile on your face with every rev. The transmission is almost as good, tight and accurate throws, and excellent feel. And it has a trick all-wheel drive system that sends 60% of the power to the rear wheels, which helps rocket this car out of corners with a very neutral feel. It all adds up to one of the most enjoyable combinations I've driven. I give it a 9 out of 10 for powertrain. Acceleration. With a 0 to 60 time of 4.6 seconds and 13.2 through the quarter mile, numbers like that are impressive today, let alone 13 years ago. So I give it a 9 out of 10 for acceleration. Handling. This car handles very well, defying its near 2-ton weight. Sharp turn-in, lots of grip, and good feedback. Now, this car does have aftermarket springs, and the DRC system had some issues during my drive. So my score is a little conservative. I give it a 7 out of 10 for handling. Styling. For styling, this car has always been one of the best looking sedans ever, in my opinion. It has a sleek look that isn't too oval like most modern sedans are. The flared aluminum fenders and sharp looking 19-inch wheels give it a very aggressive yet subtle stance. I give it an 8 out of 10 for styling. Like the Audi all-road wagon I reviewed recently, this is an impressive do-it-all car. It's perfect for any sort of weekend road trip, whether it's grandma's house or a trip to the mountains. It would also be a fantastic autocross or track day companion. Plus, with the all-wheel drive and the right tires, it would be right at home taking you to the ski slopes. So I give it an 8 out of 10 for a weekend score. That makes a total of 41 out of 50 for the fun score. Now the practical category. Comfort. Like I mentioned before, this car does have aftermarket springs, so my comfort score may reflect that. It has a very nice freeway ride and has excellent seats. However, bumpy roads do throw it off a bit, and it definitely has that German sports sedan firm feel at all times. So I give it a 6 out of 10 for a comfort score. Utility. Utility is decent, with a good amount of cargo space in the trunk and a split folding rear seat with a folding armrest that makes a pass-through for long items like skis. However, it is a mid-sized sedan, so it probably won't be your first choice to take 5 adults for a weekend trip to the mountains. So I give it a 6 out of 10 for utility. Economy. Well, as you would expect from a high-strung V8, fuel economy will never be its strength. 14 city and 21 highway according to the EPA, and likely less if you drive it the way it was meant to. So I give it a 4 out of 10 in the economy category. Quality. Quality is a big question mark, especially on a very high-end German sports sedan with well over 100,000 miles such as this one. There are some common issues with these cars, such as the DRC suspension, and maintenance and repair costs will likely be higher than the average car. But that's part of the price you will pay to have such an amazing machine. I give it a 6 out of 10 for quality. Pricing. With an original sticker price of $73,000 new, in my opinion, these cars have reached the bottom of the depreciation curve. Very nice examples with less than 100,000 miles can be bought for less than $25,000. And if you don't mind a few miles and possibly putting some work into it, a higher mileage car like this one can be had in the teens. Yes, there are a lot of nice used performance cars in that price range, but most will continue to depreciate, and very few, if any, offer the same driving experience and exclusivity. I give it a 7 out of 10 for pricing. That makes a total practical score of 29 out of 50, bringing the grand total to 70 out of 100. Well, that wraps up my review of this incredible 2007 Audi RS4. What a car. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please subscribe for more interesting car videos.